It's called Phakalane Estates, and it includes a golf course built to PGA standards, a 4-star 80-room hotel, and an ever-growing housing development. Lasong Mahong is Phakalane's managing director, who proudly points to thousands of foreigners and locals who have bought land and built single-family homes here, including a former chief justice and a former president of the country. In 10 years, 2,000 homes have gone up. The ultimate goal is 20,000 homes and 100,000 residents.
Phakalane is obviously a very upmarket suburb. It has been sold as that, but ironically, it has, yes, a lot of palatial homes that have got lovely landscape road verges, to slightly more modest townhouse apartments, to a more modest house where, small residential property of about 500 square meters on a small modest 3-bedroom house. So the thing that Phakalane is offering really is everything for everyone, so that from the guy who can afford a huge mansion to a young professional who can only afford a modest home. Likewise, on the golf course side, you could join as a full golfing member and pay much more money than if you just joined as a midweek golfer. It's a residential suburb that can compare with any suburb anywhere in the world, so that for the lifestyle that people are wanting, of saying, yes, we live in a country that has got peace and stability, it's got a lot of wildlife attractions, but from a residential and a lifestyle point of view, it has everything else that any modern city around the world would offer. And of course, we also get almost sunshine guaranteed all the time.
The idea of turning this 4,000-acre family farm into what it is today was conceived of in the 1970s by Lasong Mahong's father, David Mahong. The actual construction did not begin until the 1990s, and it was only a decade ago that it opened to the public.
But basically, it's part of what Gaborone is now offering to the regional community, of really saying that we are now a capital city that not only has shopping centers and commercial districts, but also has the recreational facilities that are on par with many parts of the world, and in particular in this part of the region.
It's only 9 miles from downtown Gaborone and has become an international destination, offering residential, commercial, and industrial opportunities.
Botswana is not just the country that has the Okavango Delta, the Chobe National Park, which has the highest concentration of elephants in Africa, not to mention the world, but indeed we do have the recreation facilities that you would expect.
About 15 years ago, Lasong toured many of the 500 golf courses and 40 golf estates of Botswana's prosperous neighbor, South Africa.
We basically said, look, we know nothing, we come from Botswana, somebody has thought about it, tell us about it, and you'll be surprised at how cooperative all the estates were in South Africa, even though we're saying, look guys, one day we are going to be competition, and we are one day possibly going to be better, because at the end of the day, if I was doing the same development in South Africa, I don't think other developments would be too keen on telling you what they should have done right or wrong, because we were going to the management and saying, look, if you could do this all over again, what would you do right? And they were more than happy, because they were saying, look, you're in Botswana, it will be the only golf course with the residential estate. So really that's what we did. It was a great trip.
This is the man who envisioned it all. In addition to this unrivaled business venture, David Mahong served in the parliament for more than 2 decades, was a cabinet minister, and has authored an autobiography focusing on his efforts to convince reluctant government officials, many of them his former colleagues, that his idea could fly.
I was a dreamer. They knew my background. I didn't have the capital. My background is that of a poor man. All I had was my education and my ideas. So they didn't believe it. Secondly, it had never been done by an individual. I was a pioneer. We are still pioneers for this development, because no one has been able to do it. So I had the disadvantage of trying to convince government. It took me 10 years. After trying 1 or 2 things, and I realized that sometimes humans do not believe in others.
Mahong, who was educated in England and decades ago became Botswana's first lawyer with a private practice, had to excel as a salesman as he tried to assure bankers that their millions of dollars would be a good investment.
And I remember one of the bankers saying, $4 to $5 million? To do what? Hey man, we can provide that kind of money for a local shopping mall here. Eventually one of them said, look, don't you have major projects such as mining or railway construction, because that we can finance?
Mahong did eventually succeed, and although many stood in his way, he says he does not hold any grudges.
And one of the happiest things is that those who were really a big barrier to what I wanted to do are still alive. and I can tell you that some of them or their children have bought plots here. So we are happy that even though one went through the stumbling block, but you are in a position, you say, you see, if you hadn't delayed me, if you hadn't delayed us for so long, we could have done much more. I mean, people employed within the estate, including the golf course, are around 4,000 people.
Mahong's most trusted partner through all of this has been his wife, Dorcas. She's not shy about calling Phakalane Estates a one-of-a-kind national treasure.
Right now, the stage we have arrived at, it's very pleasing in that, like I've always said, it's pleasing to know that we have at last tried to prove to the people that we shared our farm with everybody, with the nation, the people who have bought here, and at the moment that the golf course is coming out, the clubhouse is coming here, it's all sharing really. At the beginning, people thought, well, they are selling, why do they say sharing? We are sharing in that people have bought themselves plots in here, people are playing in here. This was never meant for the family. So it's pleasing, even though it was demanding indeed.
A couple of people we ran into at Phakalane seem to agree.
Well, our family has known the Mahongs since before I was born. My parents have known each other for about 30 years or something like that. And so it's a real asset to the city, you know, to have such places to go to, and it'll probably attract a lot of attention since they have a world-class golf course, so it's really good. But, you know, like I said, for me it's just really nice to have a buffet and have lunch here.
This to me is the jewel of Botswana. It's the most amazing golf course for this country, and it's been a wonderful development. My friends and I love playing here. We have an absolutely wonderful time. I think the development that's going on here can only help enhance Botswana, help all of the individuals who live in our country,